Hey everybody, Cal Chichester here. This video is Anthony talking about seeing the music band Shabazz Palaces.
Well, that was rough, and I really regret letting you do it.
Thank you.
Shabazz Palaces hails from Seattle, Washington. In 2011, they came out with one of my favorite hip-hop albums of that year, Black Up. They were playing over at Wesleyan University in Connecticut this past week. The duo features 10 Dimer, who in the live setup of the duo has various bongos around him, as well as a floor tom, hi-hat, a thumb piano too, and a little electronic trigger pad as well that was playing various samples throughout the night as he was hitting them with his drumsticks. And Ishmael Butler, who was playing MPC, was on the mic as well as Tendai actually, who was singing with a little bit of auto-tune at times during the night. Maybe something that Shabazz Palaces may incorporate on their next full-length album. Truth be told, it actually sounded pretty good. But anyway, Ishmael Butler, formerly of Diggable Planets on MPC, on the mic as well in this particular live setup, and man, was it awesome. I feel like just them together broke most of the stereotypes that typically come with, you know, just kind of a come on stage and push play and just sort of say your lyrics hip-hop performance. Shabazz Palaces not only played a ton of old stuff from their previous EPs, of course a ton of cuts off of Black Up as well, but it seemed like maybe they were playing some new stuff as well, or just what seemed like improvised and sort of reworked ideas within a lot of these previously written tracks. Of course, the sounds that appear on Shabazz Palaces albums, they're being executed with a lot of the instruments that they use to record these albums, and of course the same samples as well on the MPC or sampler. But it didn't feel like anything in the set was heavily pre-sequenced or pre-recorded. You saw Ishmael Butler sort of hammering out a lot of these beats with his fingers just on the fly right in front of the crowd, and a lot of the live percussion that you hear on the duo's albums was of course just as live in person as it was on the records. But to just hear them made in person allowed Shabazz Palaces to improvise on these songs, stretch certain parts out, or change them up on the fly, which actually happened quite a lot. Some tracks were fading into other tracks completely. It seemed like they would do a complete 180 in the middle of maybe doing a quieter groove and then maybe doing a spastic freak out or totally changing up the beat, and then go on this tangent, this musical improv for about a minute or so, and then go right back into the song or the groove that they were sort of experimenting with at first. So not only were a ton of popular cuts from their previous EPs and Black Up played, but they were very, very much revised to feel like something completely different. All of the songs were pretty much played in this really long jam-like succession where there wasn't really a huge gap in between any of the tracks. It just really felt like a continuous, non-stop live performance. As far as the sounds go, a lot of the highs were really sharp, the bass was really resonant and overpowering. The bass is huge on Black Up, for example, but I mean, they really emphasized the low-end tones in this live performance. Now, performing before Shabazz Palaces were two different hip-hop outfits. One was Militia Molly Mob. I'll put some information for them in the description box. And right before Shabazz Palaces was actually fellow Seattle hip-hop alternative duo, The Satisfaction, whose new LP On Natural I reviewed last year, enjoyed quite a bit. And their set was very smooth, it was sultry, it was, you know, pretty awesome, very charismatic, and the singing was much more on point in person than I thought it was on the record. And it was a pretty toned down set, not a huge live setup or anything, just two microphones, and they just kind of did their thing. But when Shabazz Palaces came on, they had all the equipment coming out, and after about an hour of performing, like I said, with these non-stop jams with just one song fading in after another, there was a little bit of a break, and then The Satisfaction came on and started performing material that Shabazz Palaces has out that features them. Then they started playing The Satisfaction material that features Shabazz Palaces, so they kind of like did this mini set within the set of songs that they, you know, have collaborations on together, and that came out really great too. After The Satisfaction left the stage, Shabazz Palaces played a handful more tracks, and there was definitely a likelihood that some of the material I was hearing was new, but it just felt like so much of what was happening was done semi on the fly, and I'm completely happy with that. You know, I like a live set where it's not just like, oh, here's a song, start, stop, clap, here's another song, start, stop, clap, and all the songs sound exactly like they do from the record. I mean, this to me very much felt like this continuous sonic experience that you can get lost in. I mean, Shabazz Palaces, while their songs on their records can be very catchy and very hooky, they were so much about the grooves on this live performance. Just getting those grooves out there, making sure that they're on tempo, making sure that just people are dancing. A lot of people were just dancing and swaying during this live performance because of just how awesome these beats were that Shabazz Palaces were pumping out. It was just a fun live set. It was exciting to see that Shabazz Palaces is as psychedelic in person as they are on record, and are able to, in a really masterful way, recreate the sounds and the strange textures and just the very otherworldly aura that comes through on their EPs and Black Up. If you've ever caught Shabazz Palaces live, what did you think? Did you love them? Did you hate them? Why? And yeah, that's it. Anthony Fantano, Shabazz Palaces, forever.